It's been dark way too long in this place. That bright smile long gone been replaced. From ear to ear I see that fear in your face. Tell me when the last time you felt safe, cause there's some evil people in the streets. Evil at your front door, creeping while you sleep. It's time to raise up, show that evil we ain't weak. We don't turn the other cheek, I can show you how to be strong. Come on, follow me. Heard you looking for a hero. Well, look up. No more running from the bad guy. I'ma stare him in the eye like, what's up? I know the journey got hard for a minute, but I ain't giving this up. Yeah, I got the heart of a champion. If I get knocked down, I get back up. We go through bad days, hard times, low pay, high crime, pathways to a life without sunshine. I'm the lifeline. With this life, I'm gonna be the pipeline, shining in the nighttime. Bet on me to swoop down. I'ma go toe to toe. Already know that I'm never gonna back down. Bet on me to stand tall. I take on anything for my crew. Bet I risk it all. Wicked people in the streets. Corruption in the politics and the police. It's time to raise up. Take a stand against the seat. We won't take a back seat. I can show you how to be strong. Come on, follow me. Heard you looking for a hero. Well, look up. No more running from the bad guy. I'ma stare him in the eye like, what's up? I know the journey got hard for a minute, but I ain't giving this up. Yeah, I got the heart of a champion. If I get knocked down, I get back up. Get back up. Get back up. Get back up. If I get knocked down, I'ma get back up. If I get knocked down, I'ma get back up. If I get knocked down, I'ma get back up. I'ma get back up. I'ma get back up. I'ma. Heard you looking for a hero. Well, look up. Yeah, no more running from that bad guy. Don't worry about it. I'm right here. What's up? I know that journey been hard for you. Okay, I ain't giving up. We ain't giving up. I got the heart of a champion. If I get knocked down, I get back up.
Hello, David. How are you?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Jamie?
Excellent. Hello, everyone in the YouTube world. And if you're joining us on Facebook, we also streamed over to our X platform as well, and soon to be on the back end of our website after we finish off here and go to our after party. Say hello to us in the chat section on whatever social media platform you are on. And we're going to dig right into it because we really got a lot to cover tonight, don't we, David?
Oh, tons with everything going on recently.
Let's start off, David. Let's talk about the cell outage. I think that's a big thing on everyone's mind.
Oh, absolutely. So just this past week, we had massive cell phone outages. We had 75,000 plus people nationwide lost cell phones with AT&T. This also impacted multiple carriers such as Verizon. We had, US Cellular, Boost Mobile, T-Mobile. So you can see that's not just centralized to one carrier, as some alluded to, right?
Right.
But it also impacted other avenues of technology, such as Microsoft 365, Wells Fargo, Cox. We had, which I thought was really surprising, Starlink was impacted.
Yeah.
And there's many more. We can go on and on, but some of the reports that I came across is that it was a technical error on AT&T's part. But when you look at it from a broader perspective, there was so many different companies impacted, and it is pretty tremendous.
Yep, absolutely. And yeah, AT&T did release a statement saying that they were upgrading their network, and it was basically their fault of something in a glitch or error when they were expanding their network. But I'm curious, for those of you who are watching us online right now, what's your feeling? Do you really think it was a glitch with AT&T, or do you think it was something bigger? David, were you on this?
So two things. I mean, if it was really an AT&T glitch, would you have this much impact on other companies?
Right.
I don't think so.
Well, they share cell towers. So like Verizon is on some AT&T towers, T-Mobile and all of them, they share some cell towers. But what I thought was intriguing was that Homeland Security and FCC said that they're investigating. Now, let's think about how many, and I heard someone else talking about this on a podcast over the past few days. Think about all the data breaches you have on the weekly basis, right? Your company is hacked. There's a data breach. Your information has been stolen, and there's no investigation or anything into it. But this, all of a sudden, within 24 hours of the incident happening, you have the FCC and Homeland Security saying, hey, we're investigating this. We're on it. Why would that be? Unless there was something bigger going on.
Yeah. I mean,
right?
Sounds a little suspicious if you ask me.
Yeah. Hey, thanks everyone for joining us. Jeff, thanks for saying hello and joining us. Jeff thinks there's more involved. There's more to it. Liza, you're online. Great to see you, Liza. Yeah, bigger as well. She had an issue, and she's on U.S. Cellular up here in Maine, and she had an issue as well.
Yeah, I'm on AT&T. I had an issue almost a good part of the day. It would go into SOS mode. You couldn't call anybody.
Right.
And it went in and out of SOS mode pretty much throughout the morning and I'd say early afternoon. But yeah, it's pretty odd.
First thing in the morning, we have a group text between David, Michael, Scott, and myself. And as soon as I was up that morning, I saw the text exchanges going around about loss of cellular connectivity. Howard, how are you? Yeah, where there's smoke, there's fire. You're absolutely right, Howard. Thanks for joining us. Barbara, great to see you online as well. Definitely think there's more to it. And, you know, what's interesting is, you know who Eric Prince is?
Yes. Yeah.
So
we talked a little bit about him.
Yeah. So Eric Prince is a former Navy SEAL, and he's now the CEO of Blackwater, right? A company that does a lot of contracts for the U.S. and has made billions of dollars in doing that. He was being interviewed and having a discussion with someone this past week regarding the incident, and he was asked point blank, what do you think the involvement is, if any, from CCP in being involved with what happened with AT&T? What do you think? And his direct answer, with no hesitation, no second of thought, was yes, they were involved, and I give it 70% involvement. He said 70% that did happen, which to me, coming from a guy like that, is pretty substantial.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he also alluded to the fact that it happened regarding Taiwan. It was a little bit of like, hey, you know, guys, we have some control here. We have opportunity here. We can easily do things here. Here's a little, you know, kick in your shin. Wake up a little bit. There's more to come. So I think there's going to be more that's going to happen. I think that we need to be very aware of things coming down, that things are coming down the pike. What they are, we don't know.
Yeah.
Watched another interview this past week, and the gentleman name is Mike Glover. Fieldcraft Survival, really great guy to follow if you guys aren't following him. It was talking about a black swan event, right? Yeah. And black swan event is basically an event that happens that afterwards, in hindsight, you're like, oh yeah, that was inevitable. That was going to happen, right? And he seems to feel, and a lot of others I speak to in the law enforcement military arena feel that there is a black swan event that is going to be erupting. There's so much going on this year between the election cycle, between things going on with China. We're in the middle of 2 wars. So there really is so much going on that the news stories are just, it keeps your head spinning. There's so much. Eliza said, when did that balloon go over Colorado? Close to the same day as the outage. You know, that's interesting you bring that up. So if you're watching us live right now and you haven't heard, there was another weather balloon spotted floating over the United States. That happened within 24 hours of this event. A lot of people speculated, and of course this is just speculation, that maybe that was involved with the outage. There was a press release done 24 hours after it was spotted saying that they did find that it was an amateur weather balloon set off by someone. But how reliable and how much do you trust that is a whole nother story. Which brings me to something that I need to put up on the screen. So I found this really, really interesting, and I think you guys as well. Let me get this on the screen. Let's see. Here we go. Check this out. Public trust in government from 1958 to 2023. Look at the very tail end there.
That's not surprising at all. Sad.
It is sad. It is really, really sad. And interesting and intriguing to look up these spikes. You guys can do a Google search afterwards and just type in public trust in government, and the Pew Research will come right up, and you'll be able to read in depth, and it's pretty interesting information, especially if you look at the different presidencies. If you zoom in, it will tell you who was president during the different times. I thought it was interesting here with Clinton. Kind of a year or two into his presidency, they had that little incident in the Oval Office. Look how low it dropped down. And then it kind of goes back up. So that's interesting. But you guys should really search on that. But people don't have a lot of faith in our government right now. And so what statement they release, how much faith can we put in that? I don't think a lot of people will put a lot of faith in that. So what's coming next? Something else is coming. I don't know exactly what it is. I wish I did. But there is definitely something else that's going to be happening. And I think they're testing our networks. And I think a lot of it does have to do with China. I think there's other adversaries that are out there that are also interested in getting into our networks and wreaking havoc. I also think that this AT&T thing was probably a window of opportunity. Yes, I think that they were probably updating their networks. And I think while they were updating their networks, I'm sure as I sit here and talk with everyone, that other adversaries are looking at our networks constantly and monitoring them 24/7. And they're watching for some type of opportunity, a little window to open up where they can get into that system. And I bet that AT&T opened up that window a little bit with something they were doing, and then they charged in and this incident happened. Still think that it was potentially against speculation, CCP that did it. But I think they seized the moment. And a lot of people said, well, if it was a bigger event or it was them, how come they didn't hit water, electric, power grids and more internet networks? And I just think it wasn't the right time. It wasn't time to do it. I think that the window of opportunity for those will be coming, and they're looking for windows of opportunity. But I think there was a window. They seized the opportunity. And they gave us a little kick in the shins and said, hey, here we are, wake up. And what's another interesting part is that 24 to 48 hours after that, all of the security patches that were released, and if you do a Google search on that, security patches released after the AT&T incident, there are hundreds and thousands from software companies being released. So there's something more to this, right? There was some type of backdoor, something that opened up, and they seized the opportunity to do something. So next conversation we need to talk about, and again, it's something on everyone's mind. And if you're joining us here online right now, let me know, were you guys affected by the AT&T network, or maybe you weren't even on AT&T, you were on a different cellular service, or maybe you had Starlink and you were affected by the outage. I'd like to know. Drop it in the comments and let us know if you were affected by that outage with whatever network you were on or any other service that you're trying to use. At the same time, because I actually got a call from Dr. Bob, right? Our good old friend, Dr. Bob. He said that the pharmaceutical pharmacies were having an issue with their network at the same time as well, where they weren't able to communicate and process things through their computer systems. So there was definitely a lot more affected, and not so many people are talking about those other things. So there's
part of
more
that
coming.
could have been because it was part of networking, satellite transmissions, probably what it was.
Right.
But it was pretty widespread.
And that Starlink was involved. I'm really trying to dig into that just a little bit more.
Yeah, I'd love to know more about that.
Because I know we've had the conversation about Starlink and talking about if things go down, that might be a way to have some comms. Depending on what event happens, if something's detonated above our atmosphere, it's probably going to take the satellites out anyway. My feeling is that if there is, an event that happens, an EMT solar flare type of event, that some other adversary would probably detonate something to take out satellite communications and take advantage again of that weakness at that time, right? Dusty's on. How are you, Dusty? Good to see you online. He has U.S. Cellular as well as a lot of stew up here in the north woods of Maine, and he wasn't affected at all by it. I know Mike and Scott, they have FirstNet, which is a special network they have because they're in law enforcement that allows them to get priority on cellular towers. They told me that they did not have any issue in communications and comms, and their FirstNet was working fine during this time. However, I spoke to a few others that were in the Georgia area, Texas area, Florida area, and over toward Arizona and California that said they were having issues with the FirstNet in those geographic areas. So very, very interesting and also concerning because if they're supposed to have priority on the networks and something does happen and they're losing communications as law enforcement, military, that's obviously a concern as well.
Yeah. The other thing to think about too is, we lost cell phone. Many of us lost cell phone service.
Yeah.
What's your backup plan?
Right.
Landline. Most people don't have landlines. Some still do. But apparently landlines worked when this all went down.
Right.
So if we had another issue where, more people were affected.
Something to bring to everyone's attention. You're thinking, I'll go out and get a landline. Now, I had a landline. I didn't have a landline when I was in Connecticut. I did for a short period of time, but for the last probably 10 years I was there, I didn't have a landline. Didn't need it because we had cell, right? Went to cell. Moved up here, and the internet that they offered at the time when we moved up, 2018, I remember what the speeds were, but it was like 5, 10, maybe 15 megabytes per second. It was slow, right? And cell service was sketchy, so I ended up installing a landline when we moved in. And a lot of people up here have landlines. And if you live up here and you're in the Moosehead Lake area, northern Maine, or you're somewhere in a rural area and you're watching us online, let us know if you have a landline. I'm curious how many of you still have a landline.
Comment in the
yeah, put it in the comments.
Section.
Let us know. I had it until a year and about 6 months ago when fiber optic was an option, because now we're getting a 100 speed up and down, and didn't feel the need for the landline. The other thing that was intriguing was a landline was costing approximately $65 a month just to have the landline.
That's expensive.
The service was $20 something, $30, but it was the 911 fees, the state regulatory fees, the federal regulatory fees. The other more than 50% of the bill was all fees and taxes.
$100 for a landline.
It was insane. It was insane. So someone that wants to have that as a backup or security, and if they're on a little bit of a budget, it's not cost effective. Especially when you have to pay for cell service. What do you have to pay? $50, $60, $70 a month for cell service, right? Hey,
Single person.
Kathleen, good to see you online. No impact for her. She's down in Connecticut. You had coworkers impacted. Yep. And she also heard that aviation had an impact. Yep, we did as well. So the landline is something that I'm exploring again. But if you're thinking about putting a landline in, you have to make sure that the person on the other side you want to communicate with also has a landline, because you're not going to be able to call their cell phone if it's down and out. If there is an EMP event, it's probably going to fry the landline. It's going to fry the telephone lines. So keep that in mind, that under certain circumstances, a landline might work. Under others, it may not. So the other thing I want to kind of talk to everyone about, and I know this is on everyone's mind, it's a big news topic, but illegal immigration and what's going on at the southern border, and looking at the latest numbers. Now, I think it was the last live stream we had talked about the numbers in just the first couple of months were staggering of the amount of people coming over the border. Now, it's interesting because as they start coming over the border, what's happening in Texas, right? So Texas has brown uniforms for the Border Patrol agents. And the illegals that are coming over, when they come over and they get stopped, they have pieces of paper. And the pieces of paper basically tell them who to go to, what to say. And a lot of them will have information handwritten in like a Sharpie on their body, like on their arm, a phone number and a name. We'll get to that in a second. What's interesting is that they're being told when they come over the border to don't go to the ones in brown, go to the ones in green, which are the federal law enforcement, the federal Border Patrol, because the brown Border Patrol, which is Texas, will grab them, arrest them, turn them around, and send them back over. Whereas if you get to the green uniforms, they'll get processed, given a ticket to go wherever they want to go, and then released. So they're being told as they cross over to find the green uniforms and run to them. So that's interesting that they're already figuring out a way to circumvent what Texas is trying to accomplish. The new numbers, by the way, is 7.2 million illegals have come in under the Biden administration. That's more than the population of 36 states.
It's insane.
That is just staggering, insane.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that disturbs me even more, and something needs to be done about it. Over 30% of the women that cross over the border have been sexually assaulted on their journey. Now, they say 30%, but those are only the ones that they've actually gotten to admit it. Right. Yep. A lot of them won't say anything because they're scared for their life. So over 30%. 112,000 Americans are dead from fentanyl poisoning, right, from the drugs coming over the border. 600% increase in sex trafficking of women and children. 600%. So here's what happens. They end up coming over the border. They run to the guys in the green. Guys in the green say, "Where are you going?" They say, "I'm going here." They point to their arm and the name and the number written. So Border Patrol calls that person and says, "Hey, such and such, are you expecting someone coming over the border?" They say, "Yes, I am." "Are you willing to accept them when they get to your place?" "Yes, I am." "Okay." And then they hang up. Nothing else. That's all they need. And then they get released to go over wherever they're going. So the head of Border Patrol was asked, the supervisor, "Okay, so what do you think is happening here as they come over to our border and they're being released and they go to wherever that address is? Do you think it's family members? Do you think they're being sex trafficked? What do you think is happening?" And he's like, "Sex trafficking and being put to work in a sweatshop or some type of slave labor. Those are the two things that are happening to them. They know it. They know what's happening. They can't do anything about it. They can't help them. They can't save them. They're being released, and they're on their way to probably a horrendous life here in the United States." The other part to this is the record number of known terrorists coming across. Now, there's been lots of talk about Syrian, Iranians that are coming over. The newest is gang members from Venezuela. Have you heard about this? So there's a group of gang members. They're in Detroit. They're in New York. They're in various Democrat-run cities around the United States. And they basically start crime sprees while they're there. They're either will put a gang together and they'll rob retail outlets. They'll do carjackings and rob vehicles and sell the vehicles in the black market and get rid of them. They'll do home invasions and rob. They'll get into drugs and distribution of fentanyl and drugs in the area that they're in. And when they get caught, they're known for being either deported already out of our country during another administration, then they've come back, or when they get caught, and a few of them have been arrested in New York, processed and then released. And then they go to another city and they do the same crimes, processed and released. And the city finds out that they're already arrested in New York, but now they went to another city, they got processed and released. Now they go to another city and they just keep on traveling and moving around, and there's no accountability. When they come over the border and they get to those guys in the green uniforms, that's even if they see those guys. There's plenty, hundreds of thousands, millions that have crossed over the border that haven't even been identified. They weren't even, didn't go to the Browns, didn't go to the Greens because they didn't have to. They got over our border. They're free here in the United States, and they're not even calculated in these numbers. And those numbers are in the millions, okay? If they do get processed, processed by the Federal Border Patrol, they are given a court date that is about 7 to 10 years out.
Wow.
7 to 10 years. So then the question is, are they going to show up for their court date when it comes time? And this is what I found interesting from from people in the Border Patrol and federal law enforcement. They said, depends on who the administration is in at that time. And they most likely will, because they're going to say, I've already been here for 10 years. I have 2 kids. And they're going to ask for asylum and be here to stay with their family and want to stay in the United States. So we've set ourselves up for failure, essentially. The other part that rubs me the wrong way is that they're being allowed in a lot of these Democrat-run cities to vote. And they're being told that go to the voting place and ask them for a form, fill it out, and vote. And they don't have to show identification. They don't have to show anything. They can go in, fill out a piece of paper, and they can vote. And I actually saw a video of local officials saying, just come to the voting area. Let the processors know, let the people know when you get there that you like to vote, because it's your right being here in this country to vote. And we'll get you processed so that you can vote. What world, what United States are we living in now? So this is all really, really troublesome. And I know it bothers a lot of you guys as well. And if you have questions for us, you want to add to the conversation, please drop it in the comments. And we'd love to hear what you guys have to say.
Liza says it wasn't fast in Rockwood. I'm assuming she's talking about
the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the internet was pretty darn slow. Liza, do you have fiber now? Did you upgrade? So now under fiber, I could do a lot of my video work, editing, and also phone calls. And if cellular isn't working very well, I can do calls over Wi-Fi, which is great.
Oh, okay.
And you know, it's interesting. We lose power quite a bit up here. When the power goes out, 8 to 9 times out of 10 when the power goes out, and the power will go out 10 times in the first 6 months of the year, the fiber optic is still working. So as long as we kick our generator on, we could still stream shows, watch TV, and have communication when the power goes out. Now, when they installed my fiber optic, they told me that they have a limit of approximately 24 hours of backup on the fiber optic. So if the power is out for more than 24 hours, most likely we're going to use the ability to use fiber optic. So something to keep in mind, everyone, if you're doing it. Yeah, I've got the fiber, and it's been phenomenal for us. But I am definitely checking out Starlink. I know David is as well, as either a backup or maybe a primary. But it is definitely concerning with this AT&T outage that they were affected by it. So I know I got to do a lot of digging.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree.
As we've been doing all of these live streams, other sources of communication have been popping up on, the social media channels, because they don't listen to us at all. So I don't know how the stuff is popping up. But you sent me an ad for this Rapid company, Rapid Consulting, which offers basically a two-way radio that has national coverage. Where they said they weren't affected by the AT&T outage. So I did a little digging into the company and how they operate, and it's operated off of cellular networks. So that concerned me, and it's not something I'm going to continue.
They're not cheap either.
$600.
No, I mean, not
for two.
They got a discount running all the time on the internet, but if it runs on cell phone service, I'll pass.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work.
No.
You know what was great, and just to throw us back to the old school and to the '90s, Nextel. Remember Nextel?
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Nextel? I think they tried coming back around and redoing it again, but that was great. That was great communication. Again, it's not
they
something
weren't too bad.
Well, it was great for just instant, quick conversations, right?
Yeah.
And then you also had the cellular capability as well. Again, we're in a place right now where if things go sideways, probably that's going to go down anyway. So David brings up a good point. What's your communication plan if things go down? AT&T was out. What was your second mode of communication? How were you getting information out to other family members? I had, I love Nextel. Mike's on. How you doing, Mike? I love Nextel. That was great.
I resorted to Wi-Fi. Like I jumped on. I believe it or not, I used Facebook to a messenger to communicate to you guys specifically because
Right.
that was what I had. I do have a landline, but I know a lot of people that I know. Like for you don't have one.
Right.
I don't know if I think my parents aren't that far away. They have a landline, which I didn't even know they had till I asked them.
Really? You forgot?
Yeah. Well, no, they used to have them, but they never used the thing. So,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, like you think about it, ham radios,
Yep.
some type of backup is really going to be the kind of the way to go.
Now, there is something you need to be aware of for ham radios, GSMR radios, and so forth. You're supposed to have a license to operate those. But in a situation where communications go down, it's an emergency situation, you are allowed to broadcast on those. So in a shit hits the fan type of scenario, if you had a ham radio and that was your only way of communication, you can use that for communication in GSMR. You don't have to worry about the license in a situation where it's an emergency and you're trying to broadcast. There's also these little pocket pods that you can buy. People use them when they're hiking in the woods and they're going to be away from cellular connectivity. And what it is, it's basically like a little, some are satellite, some are cellular, that you clip onto your backpack, and it's an emergency way to communicate. And it will send you, it will only allow you to send off a text. So let's say that you're off in the woods, you get injured or you get lost, you have no cell connectivity, you could turn this little pod on. It will give you a little bit of connectivity to be able to send a text message. Now, it might be delayed by a minute or so before the message gets out and the message comes back, but you can at least text 911. I know the iPhone, the newer iPhone, has a SOS feature, which, again, if there's no cellular connectivity or Wi-Fi connectivity, there's a way to set up the new iPhone 14 and I think 15 to be able to pick up on a satellite signal to push out an emergency message. So that's something that maybe you want to check into if you have the newer iPhone, see if that's set up, if the functionality is working, and how it works in the event of an emergency. I don't know if those communications and emergency transmission would be able to go to another person or if it has to go to emergency services. That's something I'm gonna dig into a little bit more over the next week or two, and I'll give you that updated information next time we are on for a live stream. So we're at the 8:31 mark, so we're a half hour in. I think we are going to take things into the back end of our website now, and if you aren't a part of T4 Survival as a site member, you can head over there right now. At the very front page at the top, it says Become a Site Member. Click on that, type in your information, even if you already get emails from us. Type in your information, and it's going to send me a approval request. I will approve you, and then you'll be able to log in to the back end of the website as a member. When you get there, you click on the live stream, go to the member on the menu, then click on live stream, and you'll be able to participate in our uncensored version of what we're discussing here. It also allows a lot of you to be able to communicate and ask questions. I know I get lots of messages from you guys that you're very skeptical about putting any comments or saying anything online and YouTube and Facebook and X and all that. Completely understand. So this is a great way for you to be able to communicate with us, ask questions you really want to ask, and not have to worry about the overlords of social media gods listening in and watching everything that we're saying and doing. So we're going to sign off in about 30 seconds. Head over to t4survival.com and get logged in. Server space is limited. If you get over there and you go to the live stream link and we're not there yet, wait a few seconds, click the button again, hit the refresh, and you'll see us appear. One more thing to leave you with. If you're logging in on your mobile phone, you won't be able to really comment unless you're on the desktop version on mobile. If you're on a laptop or a desktop, you'll be able to open up the comments box and you'll be able to communicate with us and type in comments, kind of like we're doing here, but it will be just to David and I, and it won't be visible to anyone outside of our website. So, hey, Carlene is on. Good to see you guys. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Coyote Maine, awesome. So we're going to sign off. David, do you have anything you want to add before we
Just
kick off?
a real quick question. We got a comment from Dusty about RY guy. I don't know what that is. Have you heard of that before?
Let's see. Are you
Maybe, Dusty,
tuned
can you
into this
clarify?
RY guy? Yeah, let us know what you mean by
Or
that.
bring it over to the back end if you could jump back on and give us some information on what you're talking about.
Yeah, when we get onto the back end of the website, type that in. Now, when we were getting ready to go on live, I tried kicking us on the website at the same time. It didn't allow me to for some whatever reason. Technology, go figure. So I'm going to try to re-hit that same link. So if you're already on the back end of the website and you're trying to refresh and it doesn't work, go back out of the live stream, go back in and see if we're providing a new thing for you to click to be able to watch us. And we'll give everyone a few minutes once we get there to log in. So I think that's it for now, guys. Thanks for joining us at Training for Survival Live. We're heading over to the back end of the website. If you're watching the replay of this and you have questions for us, please put them in the comments. We'll be responding to those. And again, thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you guys live in 2 weeks if you're not joining us on the back end of the website. For the rest of you, we'll see you in the after party in just a few minutes. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a good night.
Take care, everyone. Take care.